Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ignorant Intellectual on Media. Today, I thought I would do a private sale haul. I picked up a good amount of really awesome films um, over the last couple of days from this one seller who was curating his collection and wanted to reduce it a bit. So he ended up selling me a bunch of mostly Arrow videos for a very reasonable cost. So I thought I'd make a video on it. But the reason why I wanted to make a video on it mostly was because of you know, a philosophy about collecting films or anything else in general. All right, so there are mainly two kinds of people economically that collect. Ones that collect on a budget, and the other ones that have, they don't really have to worry about money so much, and so that they can spend, a reasonable amount in what their thinking is on films. Right, so you'll have a person that will, restrict themselves mostly to buying used items, and you'll have others who will basically they will buy used occasionally, but usually they will just buy everything that they want new, and they get it right away. The thing about the person that buys new, they don't have to worry so much about having some patience. If they see something they like, they just buy it. Whereas a person that's on a budget and buys used, they usually have to be a bit patient, right? So they got to strike when the opportunity arises, which is what I did today. So I rarely buy anything new. I will occasionally buy things new. Like some of the favorite ones that I like to buy new occasionally is the Eureka, Masters of Cinema collection. They usually have them, many of them under $20 Canadian on Amazon. So those are always fun to buy. Anytime you can get a boutique cinema film for under $20 new, you're usually doing pretty well, right? But like I said, I rarely buy anything new. I'm more in the second category where I have to wait to find things used, and there is a benefit to that a person that buys new won't. So it depends on what. Well, it'll depend on your budget, obviously, but it'll also depend on your psychology, right? Are you a type of person that has patience, or are you a type of person that is mostly when they see something and they want it, they buy it. They don't really deny themselves the purchase, right? So it just depends on your psychology. Uh, there's benefits of one, and then there's benefits of another. The benefits of the first, where you buy new, is that you'll never miss out on anything that you want. Once you see it and you like it, you buy it. Usually, won't miss out on it. Um, that's number one. The detriment to it is that you're going to be paying a premium because of that. All right. So if you don't mind paying the premium, uh, you can get what you want. Now, the other type of person, the person that usually buys used, they have to have some patience. All right, they will see things that they want, but they don't want to buy them new. So they have to have patience. They have to wait for the first type of person to buy it, and then they don't want it anymore, and then they sell it, right? And then you pick it up that way, right? So a person will buy a bunch of things, and then they watch them or did whatever with them, and then they donate them to a charity or a thrift store or something, or they'll sell them used on like a Gigi or Facebook Marketplace or whatever, and then you pick them up that way. Now, the benefit of doing it that way is the new person may spend $50 or $60 on this item, and then you buy it for like 20 or 15 or even 10 or whatever, right? So you will get a usually a pretty good discount on the new price for this item. You will get it most times. You'll end up getting it used. Um, so you just check the condition of it if it's like new, and then the only difference between a new product and a used product, if a person takes care of their products, is the wrap. Do you understand what I mean? Um, Basically, you bring something home that's new, and once you open it up, it's used, but the condition of it is basically the same, right? So buying things you're paying a new, you're paying a premium, whereas in buying used, as long as the item is still like new, I mean there are some damaged items, but if they're still like new, you can pick it up at a lot cheaper price, right? So But what will happen also is sometimes you'll end up missing out on things, right? So the new person will never miss out. The used person will, but the used person will have the benefit of getting things at a cheap price, and where the new person will get things at an expensive price. So there's a trade-off of it, right? If you want to buy things new, you're going to pay more, but you won't miss out. You want to buy things used, you're going to miss out, but when you find things, you're going to pay a lot less for them. All right, so that's the balancing act you have to do, and usually it's not. Usually it's a person that it just depends on how much money they earn, right? If they earn a lot of money, then they don't have to worry about it. They'll be in the first category, but if they don't earn a lot of money, yet they still want to participate in whatever hobby it is, then they have to be of the second sort, right? So, um, but there are benefits of both. The thing about it is that without the first, there wouldn't be any second, right? Without the people that are actually buying these things new, there wouldn't be a person that can buy them used, right? So any person that criticizes uh, a person that buys things new is kind of shooting themselves in the foot. I mean, you want people to buy. If you want to get things um, used, then you don't want to be insulting people that are buying them new. You actually want them to continue that behavior, because eventually a lot of that stuff will end up in the secondary market at a cheaper price used, and you will get it at that price. If you're like insulting people who buy things new, oh, you're an idiot paying $50 for something. Look at this, I got it myself for like 10, and you try to make the other person look like an idiot. Well, then they may just switch over and become you rather than them, and that's just one less person. That if you are a person that buys things used because you can't afford to buy things new, you just don't have the budget for it, criticizing people who end up buying things new is a bad idea, because eventually all that stuff gets into the secondary market at a reasonable price. But if it's not bought in the first place, it won't be made in the first place, right? I mean, the reason why all these boutique cinemas are coming out with all these great movies is because people are buying them, right? They're making them, and people are buying them, and they're having a profit, and they can continue the business and put out more stuff. So I would never criticize a person who buys things new. I actually enjoy that they do. They get what they want when they want it. You get to watch it when they want it, and then when they no longer want it, then I get to watch it. Uh, but instead of paying $50 or $60, I'm paying 10 or 15 or $20 for it, right? So, um, so these things come along every once in a while if you're buying things used. All right. What makes people that like myself, when they buy things used, especially if you're on a budget, maybe you'll start off in the hobby of collecting movies and watching movies. Maybe you will start to buy things new. You'll just buy them slowly, right? But knowing that you're on a budget, let's say you buy something new and you paid $50 for it, and you really like it, and you watch it, and you really enjoy that thing, and then you're at a thrift store because you're looking for some clothing or something, and then you see that uh, movie or video on the shelf, and you look at it and it's $5.99 or something, right? And you're going, man, I spent $60 on this, and now I can pick it up for $5.99. I just wasted like $40 of my money, and I don't have a lot of money to waste like that. So then, what usually happens with a person that's on a budget is they slowly revert and go to buying things used more often than buying things new. And that's what basically happened to me. Um, so what you have to do is you have to be on the lookout for things, right? You have to be on the lookout for things to buy things. So I'm always scouring the used sites. I'm always going to thrift stores. I'm always going to sales and everything else. I'm always keeping an eye out for things that I can get at a cheaper price, right? And it's served me well. I mean, let me tell you a little story that it's like the holy grail of collecting things used, and you rarely get it. It's only happened to me maybe twice when it comes to collecting movies, but there's only been one super holy grail, and that was um, because of a death, actually. There was a gentleman who owned a house close by where I live, and he died, and he left his house to his two godsons, and they wanted to sell the house. They have their own houses already. They wanted to sell the house to use that money for whatever they wanted to use it. So they were in the house cleaning it up for resale, and the the godfather was basically somebody like you or me who collected movies, and he collected them big time. In fact, this gentleman was very, very, I don't know, he had to be some sort of connoisseur or something, but he really loved old film. He loved films from like, the early 1900s all the way up to maybe 1970, around the 70s. So that first 70 years of cinema, he had maybe 2,000. I didn't count them, but it's got to be 2,000 films at least, and all of them were of the Arrow Video, Criterion Collection, Eureka, Masters of Cinema, Indicator, Kino Lorber, all these. Yeah, it had to have been like maybe even 3,000, but all basically DVDs, the Blu-rays, original 4Ks. But um, I could, anyway. So it was about 25 boxes. It took me two two trips filling up, the passenger seat, the back seats, and the trunk area of my SUV. Took me two trips full of boxes of movies that these brothers were selling to get rid of because they wanted to clean up the house and sell it fairly quickly because the market was so high for housing at the time, right? So they didn't care about the films at all. So they wanted to just get rid of them. So they had already boxed most of them up and had them box the rest of them. And like I said, between 2 and 3,000 boutique label cinema, like it was close to 450 Criterions, mostly Blu-rays, um, like 200. Anyways, it was just an S load of boutique cinema stuff, all of films from the 1900s up to the 1970s, and I got it all for less than $800. So if you can imagine, I calculated it all, and if I was to buy everything that I had there new, it would have been over like 20 grand. And I got it all for like 600, between $600 and $800, right? So I kept an eye out for it, and I went into my savings, convinced my wife to let me, went into my savings, and then what I did was I slowly paid that back into my savings, right? But you have to jump on those opportunities. Now, that was a ridiculous holy grail type of opportunity that I don't think I'll ever um, find again, but you never know. But what you will find more often is like mini holy grails, right? Where you end up finding somebody that's just trying to get rid of. The two main ones are a person that's curating their collection, and they don't have to worry about money very much. They have a very high budget when it comes to collecting. Maybe they don't want certain films anymore, so they're selling them, and they don't want to wait and get a good price for them. They just want to get rid of them because they're taking up space that some people are in a bit of a hurry, right? I remember a Lazy Boy chair that was probably about $400 new, and I picked it up for 40 because the guy, he has a lot of money. He brought it into his living room and he built it, and then he realized that it didn't match his living room very well, so he just wanted to get rid of it because he bought another one, right? So this foreign, he just wanted to get rid of it. So within 24 hours, it sold because I just happened to go by the ad, and there's a $400 Lazy Boy for 40 bucks, and I went, yeah, I'm grabbing that because I wanted a Lazy Boy for the living room, right? And I'm not as picky as he is, so those things come along. So same thing in film, that comes along every once in a while. You will pick up things, CDs, movies, records, things like that will come along where people are trying to get rid of them because they don't worry about money so much. They just want to get rid of the stuff. That's number one. Or number two is a lot of the times it's because of a death, like the thing I just mentioned. Well, somebody, maybe a husband dies and the wife has all these movies that she has no interest in and just wants to get rid of them. So she ends up, selling them quickly, or you go to an estate sale and you get things for like, a tenth of the price they were new, or depending on how well. Because a lot of the times the wife or the significant other that now has possession of the films don't know the worth of those films, so they're just trying to get rid of them. So, um, or you get a person that, like I said, is curating, which this happens to be curating their thing, and they just want to get rid of stuff, um, and they'll take it at a reasonable cost. All right. So what happens is, let me go through it. All right. So I saw this upon Facebook Marketplace. It's the Studio Canal Digibook version of the Elephant Man. All right, and it's still brand new. It's not even opened. All right, and the person had it for $10. Now, new. This is um, like a $25 film. All right, um, and it's a great film. It stars John Hurt and it's directed by David Lynch. So it's great. And Hannibal Lecter is in it as well. Anthony Hopkins, who plays the Doctor. Um, anyway, so this film was one of David Lynch's greatest films in Studio Canal, part of the Studio Canal collection of digibooks that they put out. So he bought it, and I don't know what he paid for it, probably $20 or $30 new. And it's still new, and he never watched it, and he's getting rid of it from his collection. So that's where I saw it. So I contacted him to buy this for $10. Um, and then what a lot of people will do, and I suggest that you do it too if you're looking on Facebook Marketplace or Kijiji or any of the other used sites. Um, they'll usually have, the user's name, and if you click on the user's name, you can get all the other items that they're selling as well. So you can get so if he has one thing that you're interested, maybe he has other things that he's selling that you're interested that you didn't come by through like the regular, let's say, news feed, if you can call it that, when you're looking through, the website or whatever. Maybe you're not coming across anything else that the person has, right? So it's always a good idea to click that person if you see something that is of interest to you. He may have other things of interest to you as well, and it just so happens that he did. So I saw this one for 10, and then he had these four items for $50. No, for $40. If you bought them all, they would be $40. If you bought them individually, they would have been more expensive. But he had the whole ad of these four. So um, Second Sight's version, Steelbook version, the 40th anniversary, 2-disc version of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre on a Steelbook. I already put it in a plastic case. Now this is a Region B disc from Europe, so um, unless I had a Region B player, which I do, um, I would need to watch this on my computer, right? So um, you couldn't watch it on a regular DVD player, but it's probably the best version, other than a 4K version, of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in a beautiful steelbook, right? So still has its J card attached, right? So that one. He also had the Joe Dante film Matinee, starring Jeff. Sorry, what's his name from Roseanne? I keep forgetting it. John Goodman. All right. This is an Arrow release. All right, and it's still new. It's not hasn't been opened. So this one is new, hasn't been opened. This one he opened it, but he kept the J card. Um, and this one is still new as well. All right, so perfectly new. And another Arrow video of another Joe Dante film. So I guess he was a Joe Dante fan, or he was collecting all the Joe Dante films that he could find. All right, his Dante's greatest film is probably Gremlins, but The Burbs is very good, and so is Matinee. This one is extremely kind of funny horror, right? It's really good, and it's still new. It's still in its package, right? Um, from Arrow. Is it from Arrow? Yeah, it's from Arrow, right? So another one, and then lastly, a new of Eureka's Masters of Cinema. It's number 42, and it's Region B as well. All right, is this one Region B? Yeah, Region B. And this one is Region B as well. So they're all Region Bs. So maybe that's why you discounted them some, 4 for $40, right? Because they're all Region B Blu-rays. This one is a beautiful steelbook, Masters of Cinema, number 42, of Francis Ford Coppola's Rumblefish. The S.E. Hinton novel. He had The Outsiders, which Coppola did, and then he did the second film, which is Rumblefish. But I think the second book was then, This Is Now, and then Rumblefish came after that one, and then there was a fourth one which was called I'll put it up anyways. It's I don't want to think about it and waste your time, right? Um, anyway, so Rumblefish starring Matt Damon and um, Mickey Rourke as Matt Damon's father. So it's still new. It's still in its still has its J card. It's a beautiful steelbook, still new. So so I saw those and I said, okay, I got to pick those ones up too. They're reasonably priced. All right. So these ones for 40. So I got all five of these for $50. And then he said to me that he has a whole bunch of Arrow films, if I like Arrow films, because, two of these were Arrows, right? He said, if you like Arrow films, I have a whole bunch of them um, that you may be interested in. Then he sent me pictures of them, right? And so it was 10 of the limited edition box sets of Arrow films that they've been putting out for the last few years. Um, and he was selling them for $30 each, but he had 10 of them. So I asked him, how much would it be if I bought all 10? Now I had a few of them already, but at 30, that's starting to hit the range of where, yeah, I can't buy that. That's too expensive, right? So, but he said, okay, I have 10 of them. I sell them for 200, so $20 each, right? So I ended up kind of breaking my savings account that I'll have to pay back for. Well, I had $20 cash on me, so I gave him 20, and then I gave him 180, and I paid the other one before, so it was $250 I spent. So I have a new version, like I said, of Rumblefish, a new version of The Elephant Man, a new version of The Burbs, a new version of Matinee, and a beautiful steelbook that I don't even think he washed. I think maybe the cellophane just kind of, when he was putting it on a shelf, the cellophane kind of came off, ripped or whatever. So he just took it off because the actual J card, which is taped on to the front of the steelbook and onto the back of the steelbook, is the tape is still there. It hasn't been picked off or anything, right? So, and you can't open the steelbook. You would end up ripping the J card if you didn't take the tape, that circular piece of tape off first, and he didn't take it off. So he uh, he didn't actually watch this. So I'm assuming that maybe the plastic kind of got ripped, and so he just pulled off the plastic off of it, right? So so it's basically new as well. And then he had 10, like I said, of those Arrow box sets. So I thought maybe I'd go through those as well. I picked them up for $20 each. Uh, the first one is Phenomena, the Dario Argento film, and it has the three films. It has all three of the films, plus the CD. The soundtrack by what's that hard rock band? What are they called? Um, was it Helmet? Was it Helmet that did the soundtrack to this? I can't remember. Anyways, I'll put it up. So anyway, so Phenomena, which has the American version, which is called Creepers, which they reduced down to what, like an hour and 20 minutes or something, 85 minutes, something like that, 85, 86 minutes. Then you have the original version of the film, which is like 116 minutes, and then they have the international cut version of it, which is 110 minutes. So you have three films on two discs, plus the CD of the soundtrack of it, and plus a ton of extras on it. All right. And he picked it up and he bought it, and he never opened it, so he never watched it. Right. So it's new. All right, for $20. Right. So so that's the first one. Now I have this film already, but I have the what's the film? The Synapse film version of it, right? On Steelbook. It's a beautiful Steelbook. I picked this up really cheaply. Um, and which one? I don't like to keep. This is a Blu-ray. This is a Blu-ray. This one also has all three different films and the CD soundtrack, but it has a whole bunch of different extras that this one doesn't, and this one has a whole bunch of extras that this one doesn't. So which one do you choose? Maybe I have to keep both of them. What do you think? I really, really like Steelbooks. Like how how I grade everything is it goes from VHS. Now I don't have any VHS because I don't have a VHS player, but if I did, I would collect VHS as well because there are some films that have been released on VHS that have not been released on DVD or anything after, right? And that's the only way you'll end up having it in your home library, right? Um, but it goes from DVD. If I find a film that I want to add to my collection, and it's on DVD, I will buy it. All right, but it's got to be less than $5 usually, right? So um, usually less than three. All right, a lot of the times $1, right? So I'll add it to my collection. But then if I find a Blu-ray of it, I'll get the Blu-ray. And what I used to do is I used to combine the two. I'd get like I'd buy um, Blu-ray cases that have two, and then I put the DVD and the Blu-ray in it if it didn't already have a Blu-ray DVD combination to it, right? Because I like to have the DVDs because those are easy to transfer onto my computer because they're like what 7 gigs, whereas in a Blu-ray is like 30 or 40. You ever try to transfer a Blu-ray into a digital file? Um, the files get so big you have to spend hundreds of dollars just on hard drives just to hold on to the files are just too big, right? So I like the DVDs. If I decide I want to watch it on my laptop or on my phone, when I'm not at home, I will transfer it into a digital copy and then I'll put it on my phone and then I'll watch it on my phone or whatever, right? But that's happening less and less. But anyways, that's the reason why I kept the DVDs. Now I don't do that so much, so I'm not keeping the DVDs anymore. What I'll do is if I have a DVD of it and then I find a Blu-ray of it, I'll take the DVD off my shelf and I'll resell it. All right. And now I have the DVD. If I find a 4K of it, then I'll put the 4K and I'll take the Blu-ray off and I'll sell the Blu-ray, right? So, but not a lot of things have been put out on 4K. I don't have a 4K television. I do have a 4K player, which is region free, but I have I don't have a 4K TV yet because I'm not going to buy a new TV just to buy a new TV. I have a really nice TV already, um, so I'm not going to replace it just to replace it. And 4Ks, I don't think they're going to be the big selling item that there's only certain films that you want to put on 4K, and a lot of the transfers you can't transfer to 4K because you don't have a good enough starting place to do it, right? So less and less movies will be put on 4K than they were on Blu-ray, which were on DVD, right? So if you're collecting certain films and you want to have those films and they didn't have a Blu-ray release, you're going to have it on DVD, right? So you're going to keep the DVD. But if I do find something on Blu-ray, off goes the DVD. If I find it in 4K, then off goes the Blu-ray, right? Um, so so that's what I do. But the sweet spot, the spot that I really like, is either box sets of directors with all their films or a lot of their films, all right, or Steelbooks. I really enjoy the Steelbook if I can get it for a reasonable price, right? I will never pay for a Steelbook more than $20, all right. A lot of times you can get Steelbooks for less than 20 new, but the ones Mondo has put out a whole bunch of them, and man, those on the secondary market, people don't want to get rid of those. Mondo, they're $50, $60 used, and they're like over 100 new sometimes, right? So, um, yeah, keep it, right? Like I got this for like maybe $10. But now I got to choose which one I want to keep. So I guess what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to watch both and see which extras I like better, right? So like this one has Dario Argento's World of Horror documentary, right? Um, so that's an added bonus that makes this one. And it's a steelbook, but these hard box sets that Arrow puts out are extremely nice. They all usually come with a booklet as well and a poster and postcards on the inside of it. Uh, they're really really beautiful additions, so it's hard to get rid of them, right? So I will have to choose which one I keep. Um, anyway, so that's the first one, the first box set. The second one is another new version. He hasn't even opened it, and another Dario Argento film, and that's The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. All right, again with a booklet, again with posters, again with postcards and everything, and a whole bunch of extras, right? So, and it's still new, right? Still in its package, still new. I have this already. I have this exact edition already, but I've opened it and watched it. So I may just, so I'm going to sell this or sell the other one that I'm not sure which one yet. Will I keep the used one or will I? add the new one to my collection and just keep it this way until I watch it again, right? Um, all right, so that's the bird with the crystal plumage. Um, and then he had Carrie, the Brian De Palma film, the Stephen King film. I think it's Brian De Palma. All right, another hard box set, new, not opened. All right, with the book, the poster, and the postcards and everything else. All right, extremely good. This is probably my favorite. This one and Children of the Corn are probably my two favorite. Uh, Stephen King is up and down, but many of his books translate into film really well. And even the ones that are kind of like they're okay are still enjoyable to watch, like Firestarter was another one. But Carrie is extremely good. Um, the Jack Nicholson film, The Shining, extremely good. I really like Children of the Corn as well. So there's a lot of Stephen King books that turn into films, but this is one of the better ones. And Brian De Palma is one of my favorite directors. And it's still new. All right. And then he actually, so he probably bought all these 10 all at once, made one order, and then started to watch them because some of them are opened. And for example, this one, The American Werewolf in London, the John Landis film, is John Landis' probably best film. And now that it's open, I can actually show you, right? So you have the booklet, all right, really nice booklet. These Arrow limited editions, because what happens is they'll put out the limited edition first, and then they'll put out just the Blu-ray case, right? Um, you won't have the box set, you won't have the booklet, you won't have the poster. You will have the extras though, but it won't be in a box. It will just be in a regular Blu-ray case, right? But here it is, lots of great images, lots of like essays on the film and everything, right? So you have that, quite beautiful, and then you have the poster. All right, can I open it? Yeah, without ripping it. So you have that poster. Can you see the whole thing? Hopefully you can see it. I'm back far enough. And then you have this. This is the original poster, and this is the one that Arrow made, right? So isn't that beautiful? All right. So then you have the poster, and then if you open up the DVD, you have this artwork, or you can use the original artwork. Like this is the Arrow video artwork, right? But you can also use the original artwork if you wish, right? So um, this is the one that you'll see on the regular Blu-rays and DVDs and stuff, right? This one. Sorry, that one. Anyway, so yeah, so then you have the reversible slipcover, right? And then you have these postcards, right? And what it looks like these. I think maybe I don't know. Yeah, extremely good film if you haven't seen it. Have you seen the film? If you have, you'll know how good it is, right? But if you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and watch it. It's really good. Probably the best horror. Sorry, and you have this card as well. So probably the best werewolf film ever made. So there we go. That's what you get. Now every one of these box sets has something like that, right? Um, so for the collector, they're really cool. Now for a person that see, there's been this. I don't know. I watch a lot of YouTube videos of other collectors, right? And so yeah, so there it is. Um, and a lot of them see this. You have movie lovers, and then you have collectors, and then you have movie lovers who are collectors, right? So um, I'm a collector, but I'm also a movie lover. But I really like to collect things. I collect records, I collect CDs, I collect books, I collect sports cards. There's anything that's fun to collect. I collect it, right? So um, lately it's been movies, right? But I really enjoy collecting as a hobby, the collecting part. So these are right up a collector's alley, right? You'll pay a little bit extra to get a really nice version, right? Because people like their collections. They like to look at them, they like to peruse through them, and things like that. So it's not only necessarily the film, it's also the collecting experience around collecting films, right? Some people are just film buffs. They really like film, so they'll just get the film, right? And they don't care about what package. They may look at this and say, well, I can get a regular Blu-ray or even a DVD of this film, and it'll cost me a couple of bucks, or I can spend 50 or 60 on this. Screw that. I just want the movie. The movie is the important, not the packaging, right? So you have that type of person. But then you have somebody who's a collector and a movie buff, and this would be something that they would find interesting as well, right? So it just depends on what type of person you are. All right. So as an example, okay, so here's as an example of the limited edition box sets and then the regular um, they put out that Arrow puts out afterwards. So what they do is they create a demand for the really nice editions of the films that they're putting out, and then for the people that don't want to spend that type of money, they put out a regular Blu-ray of it, still with pretty much all the special features and everything. You just don't get the packaging, the really nice packaging anymore, right? Um, so to compare the two, just as an example, I ended up getting this one for 20 again. It's Dario Argento's Deep Red, and this is the nice hard box set with the movie, with the poster, with the booklet, and with the cards on the inside usually, right? Um, and then after they whatever how many, like they always put a limit on, like this Phenomena one uh, from Synapse, they only did 3,000 steelbooks for this one, right? Um, so they do a limited amount of these box sets, and then afterwards, if people want to get them and they don't want to spend the money on the box set, they don't mind, then they'll get something like this. All right. So here's the issue of Deep Red after the box set, the limited edition box set um, went out of print. They started putting out just the regular Blu-rays, right? So what I'll end up doing is, because I now got that, I will be selling that. So, so like I was saying before, if you're a movie lover, all right, you're a film buff, you're a cinephile, I guess you would call it. Maybe you would pick up this one because it's a lot less expensive. If you're a collector and movies just happen to be what you're collecting at the time, this one would be the one that you probably want. All right. And if you're a movie collector, you would get either one of these. And if you had this one and then you found this one for a reasonable price, you would replace this one with this one, right? Which I'm doing, right? All right. So that's the cool thing. Now collectors, like, sometimes they go overboard, and what they'll do is they already have the film in their library, and a film buff would just stop right there. Once they had uh, a good copy of the film that they want, they would stop there and move on to another film. Whereas in a collector, who's a collector more than a movie buff, uh, he may have four different copies of a film because, of the slip cover, or one's a steelbook. So you have the steelbook, and then you have a exclusive slip cover from a company, and then you have a box set from another company. So you end up having three or four of the same film, just all in different packaging, because you really like the packaging as well. So if you're a collector, you want to collect all the different kinds, right? Because you like the film, but you also like to collect, right? So it depends on how crazy you want to go, right? And of course, how much of a budget you have, right? So that's Deep Red by Dario Argento. And then he also had RoboCop, and this one he watched as well. So he watched American Werewolf in London, and he watched RoboCop again with the booklet. I'm not going to pull it all out. You saw it with American Werewolf in London. And you got the theatrical cut, and then you got the longer cut, which is called the director's cut. You have both of those films in here. Um, and he kept the plastic on it, but he ripped this part of it. So I'm going to pull this plastic off. because usually what happens with plastic, if you don't, even if something's in plastic, especially if you want to keep that plastic in good shape, it's not going to yellow and go bad over time. When you have the thing on your shelf and you want to keep it new, all right, you didn't open it to watch it, it's on your shelf and it's new with a plastic wrap. You get a plastic bag and you put it around it to protect the plastic wrap. That way, when you resell it, if you ever do, it's brand new. But this one is now used because the plastic wrap has been ripped, right? So he watched this one, and he also watched this one, which is the Donnie Darko one. All right, and this one has a really nice J card on it. All right, it holds the J card is really nice, but he pulled it off. All right, so you have Donnie Darko. Thing with the J card is when you put it on your shelf, it's going to block this. So Arrow should have thought of that and continued making that Darko go down so that you can keep this uh, the way it came new, right? Um, like they did it. See how they did it here, though? Okay, so here it is without the J card, but if you put the J card on it, see that? It still matches, right? It still matches. So without the J card and then with the J card, it still matches, but when you turn it to the side, it doesn't match. So it's kind of a faux on the part of Arrow. But the box set is extremely nice, and this is one of my all-time favorite films. It's a strange film if you haven't watched it. You may be questioning the film after you finish watching, going, "Okay, what does this mean or what does that mean?" Right? So it's one of those thinking, kind of like horror thrillers, directed by Richard Kelly. It was Richard Kelly's first film, right? Anyways, with the Arrow, you have three, and they're like digipacks. They're not actual plastic Blu-ray cases. They're digipacks, and you have the theatrical cut, the director's cut, and then you have. Let's look at this. And then you have a hardcover book rather than a soft cover. You have a hardcover book, which is kind of cool. All right, nice hardcover book. So it kind of matches the two digipacks of the film. You have the theatrical cut and the director's cut. So and a nice booklet. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. There's a poster in there. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there. All right, and it's a beautiful edition. And right, so pretty much that. Problem is he has it on the shelf like that, right? And what's going to happen over time is this is going to bend and rip if you pull it in. So you got to put this into a plastic bag. So he watched Donnie Darko, he watched RoboCop, and he watched American Werewolf in London. He didn't watch any of the Dario Argento films. He didn't watch Carrie. All right, what else did he have? Oh, another Argento film that he did not watch. Um, the Cat o' Nine Tails. All right, so it looks like he picked up pretty much all the Dario Argento box set films, but maybe he was more of a collector and he said, okay, we have to have Dario Argento. Maybe he isn't a big fan, but in order to have a nice library of film, um, you have to have Argento in it, right? One of the big Giallo directors, right? So this one is Blu-ray and DVD, all right, and it's still in its plastic wrap. So, and he also got Candyman, all right. Now I'm up in the air on whether I'm going to keep this one. I don't have it in my collection. I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of Candyman. Is it one of the great franchises or individual films in horror? Is it? I don't know. Directed by written by Bernard Rose. Who directed this? Based on a Clive Barker, music by Philip Glass. That's a very positive thing. If you've never heard Philip Glass's music, Clive Barker, executive producer. But who directed this? Written by, produced by, director of photography, music by, based on Bernard Rose, written by Bernard Rose. I guess Bernard Rose wrote and directed it. I don't know. It's a region B. This one's region B. Is this one region B? Yeah, region B. A lot of these are region Bs. All right. Anyway, so this is Candyman, still in its plastic. All right. And last but not least is John Carpenter's The Thing, and it's also region B. So all these are region Bs. So you probably would have a little bit of a difficult time selling them if they're region Bs because a lot of people don't have a region B player, right? So it's new as well, right? And The Thing, one of Carpenter's great films, starring Kurt Russell up in, is he in the Arctic or the Antarctic? I think he's up in the Arctic, isn't he? And this alien thing ends up being a alien attacking all the scientists up in the Arctic, right? So, um, pretty good film. It's very suspenseful, because it's dark a lot in that film, right? So, anyways, all right. So basically, of the 10, seven of the Arrow box sets are still in their plastic wrap, never watched, and three of them are opened, right? So um, I have a few of these already in those box sets, which I've picked up over time, used at very good prices. So um, there is a bit of an argument that says that, well, buying new, you're gonna have a premium on it, right? And you will, if you end up buying new and used, and you end up traveling around looking for stuff used that you bought new, you will come across sometimes where you've bought something new because you wanted it, right? And then you end up finding it used for like 1/10 the price, and you go, right? So, but it doesn't really matter, right? So, as long as you're happy with your collection and it brings you joy, right? You get to watch whatever movie you want. You don't have to worry about a streaming service having it, or if they did have it, removing it, right? So, the only issue is obviously it's space. How much space do you have for your collection, right? So, but anyway, so I got these 10 Arrow Videos uh, box sets and these 5 films as well. $250. What do you think? Is it a good price? I know I'm gonna have to pay back my savings account for a little while, so I won't be buying anything for a little while until I pay it back. All right. So, but I have some great Arrow films added to my collection, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Think about subscribing. We do all this type of content. We don't restrict ourselves just to films. We do books. We do CDs. I wonder why I say we. We as in me, right? CDs, uh, albums, LPs. We do books. We do anything media related. Even the collecting of sports cards as well. Anything media related, we do on this channel. Basically, it's just what I like to collect and I like to show you, right? So, all right, you have a great day, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye for now.